Welcome into Chicago Bears Now, guys. It appears to be over. Looks like Mitchell Trubisky will be the starting quarterback for the Bears in 2020, at least for week one. This coming from Adam Schefter in the past hour or so, saying that the Bears are expected to name Mitchell Trubisky the starting quarterback for the 2020 NFL season. And I thought this was the way they were going to go, at least at first, just because we just didn't know what was going to happen with the limited offseason. And since there was a limited offseason, I think that helped Mitchell Trubisky's chances of being named the Bears starting quarterback over Nick Foles, despite trading for Nick Foles this offseason, despite Mitchell Trubisky not having a great year this past season. I just think in the end, when it came down to it, the Bears didn't have enough time to do an entire evaluation, no preseason, no limited offseason, so they're going to roll with Mitchell Trubisky. Here was the tweet from Adam Schefter just a little bit ago saying, in a competitive battle, the Bears are expected to name Mitchell Trubisky the starting quarterback. Source tells ESPN it's due to his progression, leadership, overall performance throughout camp. Nick Foles made the decision difficult for Matt Nagy, but the team feels strong about its quarterback. So what is your one-word reaction to Mitchell Trubisky being named the starting quarterback for the Chicago Bears? Shocked, stunned, surprised, excited? What is it? Let me know what your one-word reaction is to Mitchell Trubisky being named the starting quarterback for the Bears. For me, it's simple. It's not surprising. 2 words, because like I said, the limited offseason, in my opinion, made this call for the Chicago Bears in a lot of ways. And I think it's very possible that Nick Foles will start for games at some point. But for now, it's going to be Mitchell Trubisky. More on this in just a second. But first, we got Bears jerseys for less than $100 available for you guys. Get yourself a Trubisky one. You can get a Nick Foles one. He's probably going to start some games at some point this year. If history tells us anything, he tends to come in sooner rather or later. We got tons of jerseys available just for you guys at chatsports.com/Bears jerseys. Chatsports.com/Bears jerseys. Again, if you want to represent QB1, Mitchell Trubisky, you can go ahead and pick that one right there at chatsports.com/Bears jerseys. I'll put it in the comments and in the description. Now, Mitchell Trubisky, it looks like he's going to start. The Bears, as we're filming this, have not released an official statement. Matt Nagy has not come out and said he's our guy, but Schefter's not going to put this out there. Adam Johns isn't going to confirm it unless this is the direction they're going to go in. This is what it's going to be. Mitchell Trubisky is your quarterback for week one against the Detroit Lions. And this was a very competitive competition. Nick Foles pushed Trubisky. They like Nick Foles. They like him in the system. But I think it's a couple of things. One, they know Trubisky more. He's been in this system. Schefter pointed to his leadership. He seemed more vocal during this training camp. And again, I just think without preseason games and true live reps against opposing teams, this decision was a little bit easier, and it came down to that for the Chicago Bears. Now, moving forward, when it comes to Trubisky, he's got to play better. He's got to play better this football season for the Chicago Bears than he did this past season. We saw the regression from 2018 to 2019. He was not the same guy. It's as simple as that. In 2018, he was an ascending young quarterback, and in 2019, he wasn't the same guy. Didn't use his legs nearly as much. You see the passer rating. It was not a good season for Mitch Trubisky, but hey, now he's got a second chance. He is going to be your week one starter for the Chicago Bears, and now it's up to him to take advantage of that situation. Now, how about this? Is Trubisky starting the right decision? Type Y for yes. Type in for no. Go ahead and let me know down in the comment section, yes or no. And while you're pondering that, we are breaking this news for you guys down here on Chicago Bears Now. I'm producing this podcast style, doing it all by myself because I want to get you guys the news in real time. So hit that subscribe button, share the link below. It's youtube.com/ Bears Now. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. It goes a long way to helping us put videos up on the channel every single day. We'll have coverage throughout the 2020 NFL season. Now, I mentioned pretty good chance Nick Foles plays at some point. You look at his past 4 seasons, those are numbers as a primary backup because he has been a primary backup. Even last year when the Jags brought him on board to be their starter, he only started in 4 games because he had the collarbone injury. Then when he came back, did not play that well, so he got benched again in favor of Gardner Minshew. So don't assume that Nick Foles will not start at some point because in all reality, it's pretty likely that at some point he will start a game or 2 or even more for the Chicago Bears. So you just got to wait and see if and when that does happen. So we will break it down as soon as anything could happen for you guys. Who starts more games in 2020? Is it Nick Foles or is it Mitchell Trubisky? If you think it's Mitchell Trubisky, type MT. If you think it's Nick Foles, go ahead and type in F. You got to lean Trubisky, right? Because he's starting week 1, so he's already got an advantage. But don't be surprised if Nick Foles does start some games at some point this NFL season. So the breaking news on today's show is that Mitchell Trubisky has been named the Bears starting quarterback. We're breaking it down live here on Chicago Bears Now. Just for you guys, podcast style, wanted to get you guys the news as fast as possible. And this will be interesting to watch. It'll be interesting to see how this Bears offense plays here in 2020. Trubisky's got some weapons. He's got Allen Robinson. He's got Anthony Miller. We'll see when David Montgomery's fully healthy, but I'm excited to watch him. I'm excited to see what Ted Ginn brings to this offense as well. And then obviously this tight end room has been revamped. Jimmy Graham, Cole Kmet, Demetrius Harris. This is going to be an exciting, new feeling for the Chicago Bears offense. Will it be better? It can't be much worse, right? It can't be much worse than what we saw in 2019. So I, for one, am excited. I hope things work out for the Chicago Bears. I think there's reason to be excited here. Look, all the conspiracy theorists will say, Mitchell Trubisky's only named the starter because Nick Foles is better as when he comes in as a backup. Guys, Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace are fighting for their careers. They're not going to do that and just start Nick Foles or start Mitchell Trubisky because they drafted him or whatever a couple of years ago in the top 5 overall. They can't afford to do that. This was an honest competition. Maybe if there was preseason games, things would have gone different. That's very possible that could have happened, but Trubisky's the guy. You've got to get on board with what is happening here. He is going to start week 1 against the Detroit Lions. I'll be curious to see how it plays out. Before we sign off, I want you guys to predict the Bears' record in 2020. What will the Bears' record be this season? Will they go 10-6? Will they be 8-8 again? Will they be better? Will they be worse? Let me know. Predict the Bears' record for the 2020 season. Again, Mitch Trubisky, your starting quarterback for week 1, unless there's some last-minute change. But when Schefter puts the news out there, I tend to believe it. I'm Harrison Graham, signing off. Make sure you subscribe, hit that big red button, and never miss a video here on Chicago Bears Now.